Hey, what's going on guys? In this video, I'll be explaining my drawing process of this Godzilla drawing and will provide you with some insight on how to improve your cross-hatching technique so that your drawing can look more realistic than ever.
Run! It's Godzilla!
For this style of artwork, all you need is a pencil, paper, and an eraser. I'm drawing this on my drawing tablet using Photoshop, but that's because I want to show you guys my process in the cleanest way possible. Remember guys, the pencil is mightier than the pen. Don't be afraid to use an eraser, but that does not mean you should be careless and reckless with your pencil art. Draw as if your pencil is a pen. Be very thoughtful, but at the same time, try to be relaxed since you can fix your mistake anytime. Practicing drawing this way will improve your line art very quickly and you'll learn to draw faster. Before I even start drawing, I have to decide and visualize a general pose of the figure that I'm trying to draw. And after I have a general picture in my head, I then break it down into understandable shapes. That's why fundamentals are very important. It costs zero energy to practice seeing things in shapes, so I highly suggest that you practice breaking everything down. Just try to break down the objects that you see and the animals or whatever you see, just try to break it down into shapes. In this drawing, I just did it in my head, but if you need to draw out the shapes first, that's totally fine. Whichever works best for you. I like to begin my actual drawing by focusing on the contours and the outline of the object and the shape that I just imagined. It's okay to draw straight lines, just come back later and fix it by adding some curves if it will make it look better. You'll be able to form more complex three-dimensional shapes in your mind as you practice more and more, just like anything else. And once you get better at this, drawing will become a lot more fun. Just make sure the shapes make sense. Best way for a shape to visually make sense is to correctly follow the rules of perspective. The human eyes are extremely good at picking up inconsistency when it comes to perspective. Drawings that does not follow the rules of perspective is hard to read and understand innately. So there's tons of guides out there on perspective, and I'll make an ultimate one soon for you guys, so stay tuned. Next step is to draw lines for the eyes, mouth, nose, and the jawline. Finish drawing all the important lines that will define the shapes and form of the anatomy in the most simplistic way. Do not overcomplicate these lines. Keep it very simple. After that, then you're pretty much done. You just have to give it depth and contrast to make the Godzilla look three-dimensional. This is where the fun part begins, which is the cross-hatching. Few things to mention quickly. If you're an artist that likes to work with pencils and pen a lot and likes to focus more on manga style artwork or line art focused artwork like myself, I'm going to assume that you didn't really dabble into the subject of colors yet, especially if you're a beginner or a self-taught artist. This will definitely lead you to a wall that will halt your improvement in terms of your drawing skills, and you will have no idea why. The point of cross-hatching is to give the object that you're drawing value, and what determines value is light. But what's color got to do with light, and what's this got to do with the cross-hatching and the Godzilla? Well, we see the world through colors, not lines, and learning about colors will help you understand light better, and with better understanding of light, you'll be able to create the value of the object better, which will dramatically improve your cross-hatching techniques. Remember, learning about other subjects in art that you're not interested in or familiar with can really enhance your style of drawing. For this Godzilla, I picked a light source over his left shoulder, which means that I have to put shades on the right side of the Godzilla. Considering the shapes and the light source in mind, start cross-hatching the shadow. Here are some quick tips. If you want to create highlights, use the color white. No lines. If you want to create value, shade in the object by drawing parallel lines very lightly. Any direction is fine, just make sure that they're all parallel to each other. If you want to create shadow, crosshatch, which is basically intersecting parallel lines. If you want to create core shadow, which are places that receive zero light, just go super on the crosshatching. Let's just go ham. In this drawing, I erased the outer edges of the shadow to give it a rim light look. I considered the bounce light here and there and erased accordingly. Cross-hatching is basically painting with a pencil or a pen. Just don't erase too much. Eraser is a very powerful tool. So here the recap. Break down the figure of your drawing into understandable shapes first. Draw the outlines of the shapes in the simplest way possible. Then draw parallel lines very lightly on the majority of the figure to give it value. It will separate the figure from the white background, preventing it from looking flat. Pick a light source and determine the shadow accordingly. This will be relatively easy if your shapes follow the rules of perspective. Don't pick a complex angle for the light source. Easy to understand light source with easy to understand shadow will equal to easy to understand drawing. Crosshatch the shadows. Make sure the area that's receiving the most light has no lines. Use the eraser if you have to. Use the eraser to create rim lights and bounce lights in the shaded area. After all that, if you want to add more realism, you can add highlights by slightly erasing the necessary area, but don't use highlights excessively. And with that, you have a pretty decent looking Godzilla drawing. And just remember, this rule can be applied to any of the things that you're drawing. I hope this helps. Don't get discouraged when you're drawing. Keep practicing, be open to learning new techniques and try them out. Always have fun drawing. And see you next time.